So the recording is in progress, right? So
It
we
is. Yep.
capture everything, but let me share my screen real quick. Oops, wrong window. So you can see the presentation now. Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you very much for joining our 10th community call at AI Product Hive. So there are a lot of new faces here. So I'll give a quick introduction. So we are a community focused on AI and its applications for product teams. So we are basically software engineers. So I'm personally a software engineer at Red Hat. Matt is the CEO of Planorama, and we are figuring out how we can apply AI to different different areas of our tech journey. And we gathered a lot of people on the way. So thank you everyone for joining our community and hanging with us. So it's like it means a world to us. So yeah, please bear in mind that the call will be recorded. So yeah, the ideal way is that you don't say something that you'd like to cut out of the video, but eventually we can do that if you'd like.
We've had that happen one time before
Yes.
where somebody said something and like, well, we're gonna have to cut that out.
Yes.
And we had to do editing. So we really try not to do editing.
Yeah, but just in case, you're safe if something like this happens. So
Yeah.
everything should be fine. So yeah, 5 minutes. So here's our agenda. Basically, we've got like 5 minutes for the community update, for basically the presentation that we will have, and the discussion. So this is like kind of official part, but please keep in mind that like the format of those community calls is like unofficial as much as possible. Please like share your thoughts, discuss stuff, etc. So it shouldn't look like a lecture or like some boring like class that you need to attend. 10 community calls already, a huge milestone for us. That's like at some point I've been thinking that somewhere around 6th community call, I've been thinking, okay, so there is no way we can keep up with this pace because there's like not much AI products for product managers and like more software focused products. So at some point I've been thinking, okay, so we might try to find some other ways to go with those community calls, but every time I've been able to find some amazing person who built a great product, and we've been discussing that. So yep, 400 community members, and the number keeps on growing. So that's great. We've kicked off our email updates, and as you can see, the read rate is through the roof. So this is the first time in my career that I can see the email being read by so many people. So that's amazing as well. We've kicked off our Twitter account, and like it's growing slowly, but I guess in some time we will get there. And actually Twitter is the place where we've been able to meet our today's guest. So meet Brad. He's the founder and CEO of Birdie. So we will discuss that application shortly. He's an investor, advisor, and board observer for the range of different startups. And at the same time, he's a loving father. So that's like, I have no idea, Brad, how you're where do you find the energy to do all those things, and how it is to be like, I guess if the person is successful, the person is successful in every way. So yeah, I guess you're kind of an example of that person. So do you have a quick tip about how to find an energy to deal with all those activities?
I guess the key thing is find ways to make all of those activities give you energy that you can then continue to compound and give back. You know, having the 4 kids can, you know, they can drain your energy or they can give you energy and you can give it back to them. And if you can get in a cycle where you're giving them energy and they're giving it back to you, awesome. And the same thing, I've got a fantastic team here, and we do the same. It's, you know, in each one of these different aspects, it's not, you know, there's sometimes hard times, there's sometimes you know, moments that are draining, but for the most part, each of these things actually build me up every day.
That's great.
Yeah, that's amazing answer. So we'll cut that piece and post on our Twitter, I guess, as ultimate advice for everybody who'd like to become successful. So yeah, and right now I'm giving the screen to you. So let's talk about Verdi. So your AI copilot for product teams. Yeah.
All right. So I will, let me switch to shared screen, and I'll just walk us through a couple of quick slides here. You can see at the bottom, there's only 5 of them. I just want to give you a little bit of an overview of what it is that we're solving for, why we're doing it and all that. And then we're going to jump in and actually get the folks on this call here access into Verdi. We're going to get everybody trying it out today. Actually, I'm going to demo, and everybody else is going to follow along on your own as well if you want. So our belief is that AI-powered product teams, of course, move faster, make smarter bets. My background, I've been in and around the product space for over 10 years now. And before that was still inside the R&D innovation strategy side of things for another 5 years before that. And one of the things that I found is you get really, really smart, intelligent, well-intended people, very talented people in the product domain. But product is really hard inherently. There's not another domain that I can think of that has the breadth of responsibility day one that you have in product management. It's not to say other domains aren't hard, but they're hard in a different way. In product, you're responsible for the driving business outcomes. And not only the immediate outcomes. There's not many other functions or many other roles or responsibilities that have as much influence on your organization's, your company's success 3 years down the road. Everybody contributes to today. Everybody contributes to this year, but product is the one that's figuring out what is that product we're going to be selling? What's the thing we're going to be selling next year, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? And that's a huge responsibility. At the same time, making those decisions about what product bets to make are really complex. There's no product bet that you make that is the same as the one you made before. And if you're designing a new search interface, it's going to have different inputs, different questions to resolve than what you did the last time you did it, even if you did that same thing before. And the probability is you haven't done that same problem even at that level before. They're all intertwined as well. The dependencies are all over the place within the product org and across. You have to actually understand every other function in the organization. A lot of the times in the product space, we oversimplify. Well, we oversimplify a lot of things in reality because there's so much complexity to deal with. But we oversimplify when we talk about, well, product is this mix of UX, tech, and this thing, quote unquote, called business. The number of times that I've had one part of an organization point to another part of the organization and call it the business wants us to do this. I mean, and then you see them actually pointing at each other. It's like, a product telling you that, oh, well, the business wants us to do this, thinking about finance, and finance is looking back, the business wants us to do this, and that's product. And it's like, all over the place, that Spider-Man meme. And product has to understand not only the user experience, what the users need, they also have to understand, by the way, the buyer experience if you're in a B2B setting. They have to understand all the other contextual factors in that ecosystem. They have to understand the tech, but then you get into internal operations. They have to understand how this product feature that I'm going to go launch is going to be launched, marketed, how it's going to be sold. Is it actually going to be confusing for my sales team to sell it, so they're actually not even going to go do that? They have to understand how it's going to be supported. They're going to have to understand how customer success is going to weave that into their quarterly business reviews with their clients. It's really complex, all the things you have to think about. And we'll talk about in a minute why, but the workflow, you're dealing with a dozen different tools at least on a daily or weekly basis. They're all disconnected. And so you're reinventing the wheel every day. Somebody asks you an update, you got to go pull that from 7 different places. It's just a lot of friction in that flow. And so you're pulled in all these different directions. And one of the biggest challenges is getting out of the delivery cycle so that you can actually go do the product discovery, discover what to do next. So
I'll even mention one other thing, Brad. Like product management is one of the only roles where it's pretty lonely. Like developers have a team of developers, designers have a team of designers typically, and product managers, you're like, well, you're it. And it's a real tough one. I think it's one of the lonelier jobs out there. Even though you're surrounded by people, it can be it's tough because a lot of that stuff you have to keep in your own head. You gotta manage it yourself. You gotta figure.
Matt, that's spot on. And there's been the adage that the product manager is the CEO of the product. And there's a lot of debate about how accurate that is and how inaccurate that is. And I think it's an example of how, every time you use a metaphor or an analogy, it is going to oversimplify in some way. Also an example of how often in the product space we do oversimplify because of how much complexity there is. And yet at the same time, it resonates in a lot of different ways. That's one of the ways in which it resonates, that it is lonely. And I've also been often been fascinated by how you can have 50 product managers in an organization, and yet the amount of cross collaboration, like real collaboration you get at that level, kind of a team kind of mindset, tends to be super low.
Yeah, that's right.
Because everybody's at a different spot in their process, and everybody's doing something different today. And to ramp anybody else up to understand your thinking takes forever.
Yeah.
So we love product people. We love product teams. We love the whole team there, and recognize the complexity in all of that. And so we're trying to help product teams do their best work, grow while they're doing it. One of the things that we know, one of the foundational pieces here, is we know that standardizing product work doesn't work. Now, the reality is, if you think about workflow software, there's 2 paradigms that have existed for the last kind of several decades, 30, 40 years. And one of those paradigms is paint by numbers. And that paint by numbers solution is typically all those systems of record. They're all web forms. They're all trying to tell you have to predefine all of the inputs. You have to predefine all of the steps in the process. You have to predefine all of the outputs, trying to make everything fungible. And I'll tell you, having a large sales organization without a CRM is madness. But having a large sales organization with a CRM is sadness. And nobody loves the tool, but you can't live without it. And product teams have tried to adopt systems of record in various different ways. And product is just, it's similar to if you're deep in the B2B SaaS or B2B sales side of the house, if you've got experience there. CRMs work really great for rinse and repeat type sales. They actually don't work that well when you get to named accounts, the top level executives where they have 3 accounts that they're working with. They don't do much there. That's starting to get more toward where product is. Product has hyper nuance everywhere you go. And so there is no system of record that works. Anytime that you try to do that, whether it's by adopting some tool that tries to pretend to be able to do that, or whether by adopting templates and process that try to do that. If anybody has lived the pain of safe, scaled agile framework, there's pain involved for everybody when you do. And yet the reason those things exist is because there is this problem that we're trying to solve for, that we're trying to connect that workflow, we're trying to guide that workflow, and that's hard. The other option that people try is the blank canvas approach. And we talk a lot in the product communities about autonomy. And we talk about how you just hire really smart people and they'll figure it out. That doesn't mean it's any easier there. The reality is we spend most of the product discovery work that we do in blank canvases, in these great editors and whiteboarding tools that can be, they're really helpful. It would be, sad not to have them, but at the same time, they're disconnected. Every doc's a different doc. You have to manually go and connect all of them if you want to add links from one to the other and so on. They don't give you any guidance. And so we talk to product managers who've been doing it for 15 years, and they'll when you get them into a good spot, into a safe space, they'll talk to you about how they skip steps unintentionally all the time. They know that the process, to the extent they have process, the process that they're following, they're not following it the way that they want to on a daily basis. They're deviating from that and not deviating from in creative, helpful ways, deviating in ways that just in the chaos you can't get it all done. So we're here stitching this together. What Verity is doing is we're giving you a blank canvas type interface with the hyper contextual guidance and connection that you would get in a system of record. So here's what we're hoping to do today. If everybody, whether you want to use the link here, www.getverity.com. I'm going to go there and I'm going to continue to share screen, so show you as we go along. But we're going to get everybody in there, and what we're asking for here is we want to get, we're in alpha right now. We've had dozens of users trying this out. We're excited to add a few more here today. We're looking for feedback. So we are nearing the end of alpha. Things are really coming together fast now. And we also know that we're not done. What we're aiming for is how do we get to where we introduce this to our ideal customers, which are product managers, and have a high predictability that they're going to be using it every day. So thinking about from a product manager perspective, that's the outcome that we're targeting. And that's the problem we're trying to solve. And so we're looking for your feedback today, and as you try this out over the next few days and weeks, on what is getting in the way of that being a regular core system for you. So I'm going to go and open up www.getverity.com, VERDI, and show you how to access this. Now, this is not for everybody in the world, but for our AI Product Hive community here. I'll give you a little tip. If you do join the waitlist or join early access, we're gonna jump the line today, and we've opened it up just today to be able to, if you do not have an account, you can come straight in right now and log in. This is going to auto log me in. I can actually log out and log in with a different account today. If you go there right now, you should get to a screen that looks like this. And I'm a little extra zoomed in from a call before. So everybody, if you want to go there, I'll just wait till everybody's got to this stage. When you get there, at the very bottom, if you click register, that'll take you to a very slightly different page. And I'm going to log in with a new one, AI Product Hive. And it's going to automatically pull your company name from your email, unless you're using Gmail or something. And feel free to add that and then click register. Anybody on the call not quite there?
I've used my Gmail and I'll.
And
yes, I'll-
Gmail works. If you just want to plug in right there, that works too. Okay, I'm gonna keep going, but at any point, feel free to tag and let me know. And yeah, we'll save that for now. And so what this takes you to is an onboarding experience. And if you're familiar with the design squiggle, we are grateful to Damien for open sourcing that. Product management is a very messy process, and what we're trying to do is help you through that. So you hit let's get started down below in the bottom right. And if you go add your URL, so I'm gonna give it the full HTTPS www.getverdi.com and build the company profile. Now, occasionally I had an experience this morning where the building the company profile did not work. But it simply just took hitting it again. Yep, there we go. So it did work this time. Usually, 9 times out of 10, it works great. If it didn't pop up anything, just hit that again or refresh your page a couple of times and it should pull it together. So basically you give your company info into here because as a generative AI based application, the more context we have about you and about your company, the better we can serve you. And so Verdi goes and we're trying to do that. We're trying to, at every step of this, we're trying to remove the negative friction and give you the positive friction. And the difference between those, positive friction, you need friction in order to walk. If you didn't have friction, you'd be like like on all the cartoons when you're on ice, wouldn't be able to move. But having friction in terms of getting through a process is not helpful. So we're trying to remove all that. So Verdi, we scraped and intuited from Verdi's website that our mission is to connect workflow processes, saving hours at each step and assisting teams with AI coaching, helping them make smarter decisions. That is not wrong, but I would actually say we are on a mission to elevate human decision making. Just keep it simple. So I can edit that if that gives me something that's not my target. There's a target market, product teams, specifically in the enterprise sectors. I'm going to say we're actually not typically in the enterprise sectors for now. Eventually we'll get there. We're actually targeting product teams, ideally in the startup and scale up world or organizations. And products, AI Copilot for product teams, that works well enough for now. Services, yeah, you could say that. It's all through the product right now. And then value prop. Verdi offers increased efficiency and output through smart artificial intelligence and streamlined processes, saving valuable time and generating more confidence. Great, that's good enough. We'll keep going. So you feel free to edit that today in whatever you've got. You can also come back to this at any point in the company profile right there. All right, we're going to keep going. And now, and I keep moving the Zoom keeps putting all of your faces, lovely faces, right in my way. So I just keep moving that around. So got my name. It pulled that from when I logged in. Again, you can edit all of these. My role, I'm CEO. What is your team responsible for? Responsible for all the things. Now, if I want right here, I can go and invite any other team members. Feel free to do that now. Feel free to do that a little later. As we're in alpha, Verdi is free for you to check out. The only thing we ask is for feedback. So let's keep going. You can also come back and do that later again in the team in the left tab there. Now we're going to create a new opportunity. In Verdi, an opportunity, or as they would say in Britain, an opportunity, is a problem to be solved at the intersection of customer and business value. This is what product managers are doing all day, every day. So we're going to describe an opportunity. Let's see. Does anybody have any opportunity that any description we ought to play with for Verdi? What could Verdi be doing to help product managers?
I don't know enough about what it does to be able to say yet.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the
What do you wish it would do?
Right on my
What's a problem you've faced in the last week?
okay, so will it consume something like I am a product manager that wants to build a CRM for a gas station. So like, would it be able to process a request like that, or it's like
Yeah.
So if no one has come up with a better idea, we can try it out.
So we can do that. The company information I just gave Verdi is going to confuse that one, because I just told the AI that Verdi is not a company that builds tools for gas stations. I told them we're a tool that builds for product managers. So I'm looking for a problem that a product manager has.
Okay. So
Well, one problem, or at least one of the things that product managers have to do, is to write the acceptance criteria for user stories.
Okay.
Automate
writing acceptance criteria for user stories. Automate, yeah, the tedious task of writing. Perfect. Okay, so Verdi's going to help us to frame that out. You can see we've only given it half of a sentence. It's going to take that and it's going to give us a quick framing on that. It's going to give us a bit of a dynamic framework. One of the key things here, so we talked a bit before about the paint by numbers. The problem is not having structure. Structure is valuable. The problem is having structure that doesn't fit. In a paint by numbers solution, it's trying to take the same structure and apply it to every single problem the same way. There's some great frameworks out there, but there is no universal framework for problem solving or for product management. And so what Verdi's doing is we're giving you a framework that maps to this particular opportunity. And let's see what we've got. So outcome, that is something that pretty universally we're going to give you as outcome every time. Target audience. In this case, that makes sense. If we gave it a problem that was around tech debt, yeah, I need to make this improvement in my product, or I need to decide whether to go solve for this tech debt, that you're constantly getting that question from engineers, and rightfully so. But you've got to, compare that against other things you're doing. Target audience might not be relevant there, or customer might not be relevant there. But in this case, it is. Scope, alternatives, resources, risks. Good starting point. If I wanted to, though, I could ask it to go change the outline. Give me a different set. So it's already done that. It's doing the suggestions right now.
Do you mind sharing how does that work under the hood? So the concept generation.
So it's fairly complex, but at a TLDR level, the way that Verdi generates this is it leverages all of the context, not all. We synthesize the context, in this case, about the company and about that opportunity you've given us. Right now, that's not a lot, so it doesn't take much to synthesize that. But over time, you build out an opportunity. Some of the things that you'll see as we do in a moment, you could imagine, you could very quickly get 2 pages and pages and pages. And we take that, we combine that with some guidance. There's a lot of prompt engineering going into this to give it the instruction, the context, and the guidance that it needs to generate quality content here. A lot of that guidance is, here's some helpful examples. Here's some here's some critical pieces to include in this. Here's some suggested pieces to include in this. Here's maybe various different examples of, here's a great framework that you might use, or an outline you might use for a new feature. Here's one for achieving a business outcome, like improving sales, improving gross retention, improving whatever these are. Here's one that you might use, depending on what that starting point is, but also giving the LLM, the model, the ability to go and deviate from that specific to the particular opportunity. And we actually do multiple steps in that one button click. You get multiple steps go through to first generate the framework, which has a number of questions related to these. You don't actually see the questions. One of the things we're looking at doing is possibly adding that. And then it leverages those questions to go generate the answers. And one of the things that we also do is we generate 3 different alternatives out of the gate. So if I don't like this one, I can go try that one. I can go try that one. And eventually what we do is we continue to generate new options as you cycle through.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. One of the key things in Verity at every step is that you can go and edit it. You're always in the driver's seat. The AI is there to help you. It's there to remove that negative friction and actually give you positive friction to go and accelerate you, help you to move faster. So it gives you something to react to rather than a blank canvas to go and navigate. So outcome, desired outcome of or goal of automating the task of writing acceptance criteria for user stories is to increase, and I'm just going to say, I'm going to remove all that, increase efficiency and accuracy in software development process. Close enough. We could get that to be better. We could talk about how it's building the right thing. What does efficiency and accuracy mean in this context? This is all room for me to go and improve it if I want to. For the sake of the demo, I will move on here. Stakeholders, let's see, software developers, product owners, quality assurance teams. I'm going to say in this case, marketing, sales, customer support. I'm thinking about my internal stakeholders at Verity, making sure that I'm aware of who all those people are. Benefits, reduced human error, faster turnaround time, improved collaboration among team members. Yeah, a little bit generic in this case, but all right. I'd say it's the turnaround time. It's the speed. Rest of this looks pretty good. Just for the sake of the demo, I'm going to just say, I'm going to use this. This is good. I like it. I'm going to use this again. Like with just about everything in Verity, I can come back and edit this at any point. So it's still editable right here. Now I've got this this title up here, automate tedious task of acceptance criteria. I can edit that. Oh.
Yeah, that was a deployment on Friday evening, I guess. So that's okay.
We are releasing every day. And as we're in alpha, we're a little bit we are going to have more bugs, but the nice thing is you'll see it kept all the content. We have not, with dozens of users playing around with this for months now. I do not believe that we've ever had a time where we've lost the actual content. We're very diligent about that. We've got redundancy built in. So even if you
successfully navigated the blue screen of death.
That's right.
Even though it's in dark mode, the dark blue screen of death, you still have navigated that successfully. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, what we do next in Verity is we've crafted out these key concepts to define the opportunity. Verity has already crafted out a number of assumptions. I'm going to hit this because there's one other thing that Verity should already be doing. In these assumptions, yep, there we go. So Verity has identified key assumptions, and we can go identify more if we like. Just going to think of some more. This is helping us, like our task as product people is to go and identify, beautiful. Right. It's to identify these assumptions. I'm going to have it go take a stab at guessing how critical those are. There we go. Now, Verity wants to give you some way to prioritize which assumptions to go test. Like our job is to go de-risk these bets. And in order to do that, we need to understand what assumptions we're intrinsically making and which of these are actually accurate and grounded. And so Verity gives you a set of assumptions, and it's going to take a little bit of a guess at how confident we should be in that. Basically, how much evidence do we have to support that, and how relevant that is. Now, this guessing right there, we literally implemented that yesterday. And so this is, sense check it for sure. We're going to get better and better at optimizing this. But the intent is, for each one of these assumptions, improved collaboration among team members will be a desired outcome of the automation. That it's true. I'm going to say that's actually not critical. Improved collaboration is valuable. I might even say that one's nice to have. So Verity didn't get it right there, but it gave me something to react to. That's the key. Unknown. Yeah, I don't have, I collapsed it. I don't have a strong perspective there. Faster turnaround time will be seen as a valuable benefit by stakeholders. Not by stakeholders, by users. And faster turnaround time, we'll see. That's I'm gonna say I've got more. So I've actually had these conversations already. Verity doesn't know what conversations I've already had. Verity is intuiting that there's some reasonable logic to say that that's a hypothesis. And I'm going to say I've got pretty strong directional evidence there. Having had a number of conversations, dozens, maybe hundreds, conversations with product managers about this question of saving time. And I'm going to say that one is critical. That is foundational to this particular one. Increased consistency and acceptance criteria will be seen as a valuable benefit. In increased consistency, I'm just going to add a little context in the format of acceptance format and comprehensiveness. That's a long word, not even sure if it's a word, but as I think about it, those are kind of the key things that you're looking to get to, the coverage and the format of it so that you can quickly respond to those. I'm going to say that is a valuable benefit. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty critical to this bet hypothesis. I haven't had that specific conversation with a lot of folks. I'm going to say that's a hypothesis right now. What Verity is trying to do here is give you some signal about which of these are higher risk. Now, if I've got a critical assumption, but I've got some pretty strong evidence in support of it, okay, I feel pretty good. If I've got some green there, if this is still critical, it's still really important, so I might still go a little bit further into it. But if I've got some green here, then with it being directional or factual, this assumption, then I should probably move on to something else. Similarly here, if this is only nice to have, I probably shouldn't spend a whole lot of time trying to validate that. I should probably go down to something, and I'm just going to take a guess. Automating this task will improve collaboration among team members. Well, I'm going to say this is actually a little bit redundant with the other one, but let's find reduced human error. You know what? I'm going to say that's unknown. We might even say it's a hypothesis. And I'm going to say that is critical. So that gives me a space to say, all right, this one is more important for me to go validate than these other ones up here. Let's go click into that. And when I get here, by the way, Verity is going to be automating more and more pieces of this. In a future state, you'll show up here, and Verity will actually map out whatever evidence you might already have in your knowledge graph behind the scenes in Verity, because you've crafted out 12 other opportunities and done some research there, and you already have some evidence that we can pull from, or in the logic of it, as well as in the suggested actions there. Right now, we have a short list of suggested actions. What we're building toward very quickly here is to where we have a similarly highly contextual set of things you can go do. If you wanted to go conduct some interviews, you could add that here, and it already takes you there. You can go and draft an interview guide. You can say, you can ask a question, and actually, I think that part's still working. I'm just going to add. I've already got some of these built in. I'm adding some questions I've used before, just to get a basic sense of the demographics around who I'm talking to. And then I'm going to add a question about what this is a terrible question from a researching perspective, but what's been your, not a terrible one, but it was going to be terrible. It's going to be slightly less terrible here. What's been your experience with the acceptance criteria? Just for the sake of the demo, I'm going to leave it at that. I know you all could write much better interview questions. So we go draft this interview guide here. And as soon as we draft an interview, I can say who I'm talking to, that I'm talking to Matt, and I'm going to skip on that for now. And now I've got an interview guide for Matt that leverages all of that context. I can take my notes in here, and afterwards I'll be able to craft the insights. I'm just realizing on time, this demo has gone long, so I'm going to cut it right. I'm going to pause right here at least, and we can stop for that Q&A, that discussion.
You're basically reading my mind there, because I've been thinking that probably this is like when you mentioned that this is only an alpha version, I guess you like so probably it's at least it doesn't look like an alpha version, like this huge amount of functionality that the Verdi has already. Like I'm scared to think about what you will be able to put there in a couple iterations, because like you've got commands and all those like integrations with the LLMs and etc. So yeah, that's like pretty great job, honestly. So yeah, that's looks amazing. Okay, so at this point, where should I look if I'd like to finalize my work? For example, like we've finished our demo right now, and what will be the artifacts that I would be able to get out of Verdi right now and present to my team, for example?
Fantastic question. There's two basic answers to that. One, I'll show you right here. These are by default visible to your org. So if you invite anybody else to your account, they'll be able to see what you have, all of what you've created here. And if you wanted to, you can always go and change that. You can see there's a lock there over there. We're of course going to be adding more targeted sharing capabilities over time. That's just how we're starting. So all of what you've crafted here could be that, depending on how you work with your team, who you're sharing it to, who those stakeholders are. Now, the next piece of that is you may want to go craft a document from this. And so you might say, please draft a PRD from this opportunity. And I'm gonna see if that actually plays out. This I haven't tested in a few weeks, and as you know, if you're in alpha, one change can change everything. Yep, so it did not actually, it gave me a template. The chat here actually should have the context of the whole thing, because we just implemented these concepts this week. We haven't baked those into the crafting of the documents, but we have the ability, both dynamically as well as through a number of templates, to craft documents depending on the context of what you're trying to do. We took those out. We took the static templates out just this week in order to streamline the user experience, because we didn't have it showing up in the right place. So a week from now, 2 weeks from now, what you'll have is an ability. Oh, actually, no, I think we still have it. There we go. Okay. So I can go craft, if I want to craft a PRD, if I want to go craft a launch strategy, I can go do that. And you'll see it show up here. So we took it out of one place, but it's still there. And if you get here, I can tell it to generate based on the context. And if we are feeding it into there, then you'll start to see some content here. These are the pieces we'll be iterating on in the next few weeks here. I can do this here. And there we go. Just got to click it a couple times. So this gives us a framework. Again, all of this is editable. I can even edit it while it is drafting. This is live collaboration with the AI. And so I can also say, hey, I don't care about this particular one. I'm going to go delete that. I'm going to go add other sections here. I can come and ask Verity which sections might come after this. Fantastic competitive analysis. And it's going to go give me that. Again, the intent here, we're drafting you something to react to. And it's up to you to go and take this and refine it. We're going to get better and better and better and better at drafting contextually to the format, to the content, all of that, to what you want. We're also going to be adding eventually some of this stuff you're going to find it's going to it's intuiting what the answer might be without having full context. We're going to actually signify to you which parts of this are grounded in other parts of what you built into this opportunity or into Verity broadly, and which parts are effectively we're intuiting or making up, so that you can have a clearer sense of what you need to go and validate or not.
Yeah, I think that's really important to the thing I get concerned about, and we do a lot of work with AI as well, the language models for some time, is that I think we're in a place where it becomes very easy to say, well, I've generated it. It must be correct. It must be accurate. And we know enough that may not necessarily be the case. And so to identify where it has sourced information from something that you've already edited versus where it sourced information from its own brainstorming is going to be rather important.
That's actually the reason we have this this coloration on the text there, is to signify you haven't done anything here. It's a very light implementation of that, because as soon as you click into it, it all changes.
Sure.
But that's you're spot on. That's very much very important to us to make sure that you are always in the driver's seat and aware of what the AI is doing and where it's getting it from.
Does anyone have, while we still have time, does anyone have any questions right now?
By the way, I want to make sure everybody knows this is not a commercial or infomercial, anything like that. Like, we don't get paid for doing these. What we're trying to do is bring solutions to product teams that seem to be interesting and seem to provide a lot of value that involve some type of AI, and allow folks to present it, to get feedback, and allow people to give feedback and brainstorm and think about how they might use this or have other things that spawn off from these conversations. So it's all collaborative. This is not a sales presentation, by the way, so I just want you all to be aware of that. That's not what we're all about. So but really, if you have any feedback, questions, comments, please jump in.
Yeah, this is Matt, and I'm not a product manager. I'm just I'm more on the business user side, but I do rely on IT, and I'm always like pounding the desk for some help, with certain things. And so in terms of structuring my own thoughts and coming up with evidence and impact and all those kind of things, that this tool seems like it could be useful even for a business user like myself. And I don't know if you're thinking about it that way, but there's that line, like, where sometimes we have to hand over as much as we can. The more compelling we can make that information, the more likely we are to get that resource. So if possible, I'd like to continue to play with it and run some of my challenges, reporting challenges, and other requests that I have on my list through this, and see if I can learn from it and share my experience using the tool. And then if there's a part 2 of the demo, which I know is from the product development side, it looks like you might have been developing some additional output relevant to that audience, and we've run out of time. So if there's a part two, I would love to be, have an invite.
Awesome. Matt, you are certainly welcome to play around with it. In fact, anybody on this call, feel free to even add other teammates, play around with it. Our only ask is that you share us feedback, tell us where it's working for you and tell us where it's not, and would love to have the part two. And even would love to have a live one-on-one chat with you about the experience you've had with it. So I'll put in the chat there. Well, I'm in the Slack community. I am in a handful of Slack communities. So if I'm a little slow, you can also hit me up on LinkedIn, but I will try to be checking. And as well as anybody on the team. So would love for you guys to be playing with it, testing it out. Just don't be too upset at us if we move the cheese once in a while by adding new features or moving a feature around while we're in alpha. That's going to happen a little more often than once we get into beta and once we get into GR.
All right.
Thank you.
If like I've already created my account, so is that possible for me to add a person to my organization if like you will close your registration? Like from what I understood, you opened the registration only for today's call, or like are there any opportunities?
If you go into your team and you send them an invite through there, they should be able to get into there.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Very good.
And this will
Are there
just
any
ask
other-
you for an email is all. And then they'll go through that same process.
Oh, perfect.
Okay,
Are there any
so
other questions or feedback from folks? Yeah, and by the way, I know there were like a minute left, but is there anything anybody's just in general having a struggle with, challenge with, questions, comments, anything you're looking for feedback from a group of people that you've never met before, except for a couple of us, and want to get some feedback? Because like we said, product management's a lonely job. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're working in product, but is there anything anybody wants to talk about before we wrap up?
I don't want to defile the call too much, but I'm an AI enthusiast, like everybody. I'm being asked to do more than I could possibly do in a given day. And I'm looking for the latest, the tools that are going to help me with basic, like daily office functions, accelerate creation of, content, PowerPoint, Word doc, Excel analysis, and then problem solving. That's why this tool was very interesting to me. I hadn't seen something like this where you could kind of set it up and it sort of guides you through the problem solving process, because that's my day-to-day existence, is solving problems all day long, and how to quickly sort of assemble the data and make a case for certain things. So if anybody has anything along those lines, but just please send them to me. I don't know if my email is visible or whatever, but I'll put it in the chat.
If you're in the Slack community, people can find you.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I guess we're all set. Hey, Brad, thank you so much for taking the time to do a show and tell. And everybody else, it was really nice to meet you all. Some of you for the first time. And you all have a wonderful rest of your Friday and weekend. And I hope to get to see you again next time.
Yeah, definitely we need to, like, the next community call is booked, but I would definitely love to see like the results of your journey in a month, for example, or like after you will after you will move through your first iteration, after like you'll open your doors, you invite a lot of folks, they'll give you the feedback, you will rewrite 80% of the application. So there's a joke in like software engineering space that the first 80% of the project are not that hard than the next 80% of the project, because it's always it's always the case when somebody comes gets around and, hey guys, like you've done everything wrong, so we need to redo all the stuff you've been working for the last 6 months. So yeah, hopefully this is not the case for Verdi, but I guess that would be a pretty cool example of like getting together in a couple months and see how your product evolved, in
How you progressed.
yeah, and how you progress. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely on the roadmap. So let's keep in touch.
Let's do it. We're on our
Alright.
third 80%, so totally feel you there.
Awesome. So we'll share the recording shortly with the community. We'll also send it via the community newsletter in a couple of weeks, I guess. And yeah, we'll see how many folks will join the app and give the feedback. So yeah, and we're open on Slack as well for anyone who's watching the recording and would like to give the feedback after the call. So yeah, thank you very much for joining, and see you next time.
Yeah. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks for setting it up.
We'll
Bye.
see you guys. Goodbye.